Yeah, make it.
Oh, we gotta weigh my purse. I really want to do that. Okay. So on top of him,
scales that are that.
I know. On top of him, we'll pick out doing
Yeah, that would help.
picking from my.
I need to put my.
Yeah, headset.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. It fell down.
You think I got it out?
Yeah, I'm looking like, where is it at? Well, yeah,
Did you pick one? Give me this.
Yes, there it is. There's Makeup with Stephanie as I found my microphone that
what
fell
the heck?
off.
Anyways, on top of him picking from my thing, another workout one that we can't even.
Boys, this show's starting off with a bang.
We're going to go over to some makeup trends that have been kind of popular. This one is really pretty. This is called the unicorn. I really love. Look at that. I mean, it's kind of like an icy cold.
Is that the same color that I picked?
No, an icy cold kind of look. And then we also have our next one that is a fill.
Oh, wow. Jeez. Oh, yeah, that's a real turn on.
Oh, this girl, like, the lipstick is
I mean,
like 3D.
I hope we were going to a Halloween party or something.
And then the eyelashes, I don't really get what's going on with those. And then we have another one that's like, I call it the Wiggles. And that is the hottest makeup trends for...
That is weird.
Your life. That kind of explains...
Isn't that weird?
That it just explains the world these days.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
The first one was really pretty. That one was great.
Yes.
If you're into unicorns.
Of the...
Winter Wonderland kind of thing.
Of the whole
the wiggle part.
enchilada. Still say the YouTube's Makeup with Stephanie segments are the best ones we do.
I don't even understand them. I don't think our viewers do either. Hopefully we don't have very many.
Yeah, that's
why we're still figuring it out. Because the crap that comes out of my mouth, I don't know. Do you understand it? Because I don't.
Oh, yeah, I understand it perfectly.
I don't even know what I said. Did I say something wrong?
No.
I'll have to go back and rewatch. I don't know what happened. Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. I think we're ready. Spark plug.
Did I take spark plug again?
You did.
Wow.
You always do.
I always can. I must pick that 34 times.
Oh, you always
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every live at 5, Monday through Friday, on Newswire, Facebook Live, and YouTube on that. As we, again, you got to go to YouTube and watch the...
I don't know what I said wrong.
First segment.
I got to go back
You
and
didn't
rewatch.
say anything wrong. It's just the...
Something was...
The
no.
funny way you say or phrase
I know, I
things.
have a horrible way of doing
that. Of doing that just... the double entendre meaning sometimes of some of the things you say are interesting. And I don't even think you named... Did you name the one you used in that in the segment?
Well, no, because I was panicking on when I said them wrong. But it's spark plug.
Yeah, I must have picked that about 6 times out of 10 or something. I don't know. We must have a vibration.
I don't know. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel,
Yes.
like it, and subscribe so that way you can get all the Makeup with Stephanie's and figure out what the heck we're talking about when we come on.
You'll see the bizarre, funny camp
I don't know
stuff,
what happens.
Yes, that we're doing on that. Lots of news coming on today. Obviously, George Floyd's brother testified at Congress today and many others on this whole police violence, brutality, racism, blah, 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 of all the things that are going on. It's really, really, really concerning of some of the stuff. You know, how they're trying to mix the COVID and the stuff, and we'll have Dr. Kelly Victory on at the bottom of the hour to address this and probably many other issues coming along the stuff. But they're intertwining the COVID stuff, and we ran the and we haven't done them much on IE Newswire, but today I ran the LA County health update of that with had Hilda Solis, who I actually met and talked about with nuclear power and why the Obama administration, who said they were going to do it, whiffed out on it, and she was housing and urban development secretary back in around 2010 or so. She was out here at Moreno Valley.
Was she?
Yeah, I got to check with her.
When?
You can ask former Mayor Jessie Molina, who's standing by me when I asked her the question. I said, when is it coming? Oh, we'll have it soon. Well, it never did come. And that's why we're in a lot of the pickle we are. One of the few things I agreed with Barack Obama and the Obama administration
Wait, you
was,
agreed with somebody?
yes,
Huh.
on that. He was very pro-nuclear power, but they really didn't expand it or do anything with it, and that was kind of that was a big disappointment, not only for me, but it has profound consequences, especially for us in California. We're paying the highest electricity rates of all the 57 states, as Barack said one time. But see how I can veer off the highway
Yeah,
down
you
the
totally
off
did.
ramp on some.
I don't even know where you were going originally.
On something else on that. But no, the way the COVID and the things are all trying together, and now we got the George Floyd situation, the riots, and how we're trying and tying that all together on that. And we're going to run a clip on there. I mentioned fair-minded civil rights attorney Leo Terrell. He has a Saturday show, I think, on KABC 790 on that. But and he's been doing a lot of guest appearances on the Sean Hannity show since this came up. But he was on Sean Hannity, I believe, last night with Cornel West, and they got into a little bit of a interesting, let's put it that way, discussion of what was going on. So we're going to roll this video. This is on the Sean Hannity show of that. Last night with Cornel West and Leo Terrell. So here we
Along with the
go.
co-host of the Tightrope podcast, professor at the ever-prestigious Harvard University, Dr. Cornel West. Every liberal big city, Chicago, run decades by Democrats. They've allowed the violence, and they have failed our American children with the most horrific schools in the country.
Goes to the police. They don't have enough housing. They don't have enough education, and they certainly don't have enough jobs with a living wage. That's under Rahm Emanuel. Now, I'm no fan of Rahm Emanuel, but I'm certainly no supporter, as you know, of you and your good friend, Brother Trump himself.
Why didn't Rahm Emanuel? Why did he not fix the violence?
But I'm going at you in the name of truth.
Okay, Leo, why didn't he fix the violence? Why haven't they fixed our broken school systems? We have failed America's children.
You know, Sean, you asked Dr. Cornel West the type of question you asked in a court of law. He won't answer them because he's just giving you old talking points. I'll speak to you, Dr. Cornel West, black man to black man. There's looting going on, and you try to conflate. No, it's my turn. It's my turn. You try to conflate protesting and police misconduct. And shame on you. And you're absolutely wrong. You won't address the issue. You will refuse to address the issue because I'm talking to you. You're not my brother. You're not my brother. You are hurting black people by acting this position. You are taking the wrong position. No, my brother. That stuff plays out. That plays out. Address the question. Do you? Oh my gosh! You have lost control. You're a dinosaur. You're an outright dinosaur. You have lost it, sir. I'm not part of your group. I'm not part of your group. You have lost it. You are a dinosaur. And you know what?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
fighting
You are Neolithic,
You are
my
wrong.
brother.
You are wrong, my friend. No, I don't think so. Because your position is so way off. I will not respect
you come out of the block disrespecting people.
Yeah,
you disrespect me the day that Brother Floyd is playing the
and do all you want. That does not work on.
Okay.
Wow.
That does not work on me.
They went on toe to toe on this thing.
For how long?
The video is about 5 minutes on the whole deal on that. But you could see. Now, this is what a lot of us have said in the narrative. You look at Cornel, just put that, just keep playing that in the inset, put it in the inset and keep playing it. Because I want you to see Cornel West. I want you to see the anger. I want you to see the shouting. Let's just disregard whether one case is wrong or not. Sean Hannity asked Cornel West, got his side of the story, whether you agree or not. Then he asked the same question to Leo Terrell, and Cornel West jumps right in there and just has a hissy fit and tries to overshout Leo Terrell instead of talk about giving respect.
Right.
Talk about you want to have a conversation. You actually want to change things.
Right.
You want people to listen or hear your side of the story. Look at the anger in that man's of that. You want to do that. He used the word Negro, and you know what word he really wanted to use on Leo Terrell. This is what you're up against when you do, and we're going to go through some of the stuff with Black Lives Matter. We're going to look at their platform, what they stand for, what they're advocating. Because look at this, look at the face of.
No, and I've always said that too. With I get the protests and the marches, and if you're peaceful and you're calm, I think the more silent you are, the more powerful it is. But the way that they're breaking windows, burning down businesses. I heard one place they lit a house on fire with children inside and blocked the home so firefighters couldn't extinguish the flames. To go that far, it's what do you think you're going to gain from that? What do you think is going to come from this? Because it's not going to be respect, at all. That's why I don't get it. I don't comprehend what they are hoping it'll accomplish. What do they want? By doing that, what do you want? Oh, my answers, Roy.
And answers you shall have.
Uh-oh.
Of that, roll that back in because I want people just to see the video of that little piece coming in on that. Just a little bit of it because I want to again. Let's see if we can run through the. So you're sitting down there and you're seeing the angry part of the whole enchilada on this thing. So.
They actually went and spent money on getting those little masks made to say defund the police.
Yeah. So you go that on the on what's going on with this whole situation. Let's go back to that because a lot of this started in the 90s. You hear a lot about community policing and all this sort of stuff and being nice and all this stuff. It all started with, a lot of it started with the broken windows theory. The broken windows theory is you stop the crime, somebody's committing, let's say a kid, let's say he's 13, 14, 15 years old,
okay,
and he breaks a window.
Okay.
You stop the punishment, or you make the punishment, or you try and stop them there. You try, okay,
right.
You're not supposed to break windows, you're not supposed to damage other people's property. No matter what they did to you per se, or what you have no justification for destroying somebody else's property.
Correct.
We want to, and that was the thing and if you stop it there, then it does not come into robbery,
right,
sexual abuse, rape, human trafficking, murder, or whatever. You stop it. You stop the person at the point of that. It was introduced in the 80s and by social scientists James Wilson and George Kelling. I think James Wilson was from UCLA, and I think the other one was from it might have been Harvard or one of the ones back east. But that's part of the stuff. I mean, it was stop and frisk in New York City, which done that, and Bill Bratton, which was police chief in New York, and then came out here at the time. Was really in that. And crime, when Rudy Giuliani and stuff were in there, crime went down significantly. When David Dinkins was mayor, it was exploding. It was like a real hellhole. They got a hold of the situation with that. And they did, out of that, born community policing, where like what they're talking about. You're involved in the community, or you go in and ask the community what's going on, or ask business owners what's happening, da-da-da-da-da. So this is what they are decrying in a lot of cases, I think, of what it is. Because when you start breaking down the whole thing, the Black Lives Matter or the protester movement or all the stuff that's going on is wanting to break down, they want to eliminate police departments. They want to get rid of that. We're going to eliminate police. We're going to do social. We're going to wish all this stuff away is basically what is their main objective on this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I think, and again, I want to put the context in it. That this has started in the 80s or 90s, and all this, and there were cries back then. Racism, cops are racist. They're picking on blacks or Hispanics or in white privilege and all the stuff like that. And here's a few things. This is from Black Lives Matter, and this is their platform and demands. It says, in the war on black people seeks to resolve the criminalization and dehumanization of black youth all across all areas of society. Capital punishment, they want to eliminate that. Money bail and court surcharges in court proceedings. Well, which state started that?
Please don't say California.
Yes.
Damn it.
We're
I hate it when I'm right. Very rarely am I right.
We've had this whole campaign going on of that whole thing. They said their agenda isn't getting done. Yes, it is. You got Newsom, which came in and signed off that we're not going to have any deaths, even though it is the law, and people in California passed it, by 2/3, that we want the death penalty. Says there's going to be no executions on my watch. So you got that. You get your the no bail thing on that, and we'll have hopefully we'll have Mike Hestron, our DA, on here to talk about that and the reforms on 47, 57, and that. Use of past criminal history to determine eligibility for housing, education, licenses, voting loans, employment, and other services. They want ollie oxen. Doesn't matter what you did.
On that one, I can see if they do good behavior and their crime wasn't so bad. You know how
they're going everything.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
The war on black, trans, queer, and general nonconforming people. Well, where is this war at on anybody like that? The militarization of law enforcement, the privatization of police, prisons, jails, probation, parole, food, phone, and all of the criminal justice-related system. Public jails, detention centers, youth facilities, and prison in their present conditions. So they basically want to just eliminate everything. They not only want to defund the police, they want to get rid of prisons. And you heard it in the LA County thing. They said, we're going to try, they're starting with this. We're going to try and de-escalate youth incarceration and people, this is that. Reparations for systematic denial of access to high-quality education opportunities and full form and free access for all black people. So where is there evidence that there is systemic denial, which, let's go back to the definition of systemic. Systemic means whole. Everything, everywhere. So they're saying all blacks have been denied access to high-quality education opportunities in the form of full and free access for all black people. I want to know who in the United States is being denied high-quality education in that. Now, we can debate high quality, but education in the United States. If your quality of education is in the tank, then you should be down at your school districts demanding change, because that's where it's at. $20K per student, K through 12 in California. It's not a lack of dollars or anything else that's in this whole thing. Wealth extracted from black communities through environmental racism, slavery, food, apartheid, housing discrimination, radicalized capitalism, form corporate and government reparations. What? Where is the opportunity that's been taken away from you? Wealth extracted from black communities.
Yeah, that's I don't know. This whole subject, it makes me so uncomfortable because I don't want to say the wrong thing and upset people, because it is such a touchy subject right now, as it usually is and should always be. But what? That's crazy. And then we're supposed to just sit there and be like, okay, here you go. That's not going to cause more of anger and upsetness through all other races. I mean, they're not the only race out there that's struggling. Right?
Cultural and educational exploitation erasure and extraction in the form of, among other things, public school curriculums that critically examine the political, economic, and social impacts of colonialism and slavery, and the demand that state and federal levels require the United States to acknowledge the lasting impacts of slavery, establish, execute, plan, and address those impacts. Well, what? Slavery ran out in the mid-1800s. What, like 170, 80 years ago?
I'm not sure.
What is the impact of slavery? And like I've said, if they're one, where is it that people in the United States citizens are enslaving? Invest and divest. Reallocation of state, federal, local government funds for policing and incarceration and long-term strategies for education, restorative justice services, and employment programs. They basically want to eliminate most of your law enforcement, criminal justice system, all that, and this is going to be their restorative justice services and education and everything else. Now, you explain to me how that works.
Can't. Because I don't even get where it went wrong. I don't know. I think if they want, like, what would be a great thing that maybe they should want people to go do is go do that Footsteps of Freedom. I know the district goes and does that and provides it, for students and stuff like that. That way you get it. That way you see how they were treated. Then you can kind of relate. But at the same time, like, learn the history of it, learn how they were treated, and then grow together, not demand all these things that you feel like you're still not getting. You're getting all of those, if not more.
Divest from fossil fuels
talk.
and investment in community-based sustainable energy solutions. Where have you heard that? Constitutionally protected right to fully funded education. Again, $20,000 per student in California. How in the world could you do that you do have that? Cuts to military expenditures and reallocation of those funds and infrastructure for community and well-being. So they wait. Not only that, now their next attack is going to be on the military. We've got to get rid of our military force on that. We have a caller on the line. Who we got? Hello.
Hello, it's Doris Mann from Memphis.
There you go. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great, thank you. And I have a personal testimony, and I'm not going to give definite different things, but basically, this is a few years ago. We had a chief of police, and when he became police, he became very efficient, and he provided for everybody. And so there was an incident, and I'm not going to go into that, but I'm just going to give you the basics of what happens. And so they had some of the big leaders, radical leaders that came into town, and so they were giving a hard time, and he just basically said, look, told this policeman, he said, you just go into the different areas on calls and just, they took care of all the city, but certain areas were more crime than others. You don't go into these areas unless certain parameters within 2 or 3 days, the big Democratic were gone, and they were asking the police chief to return as they were because they had peace and quiet, and whenever they didn't, it erupted. And that's exactly, if it takes the police away, we're going to have more of what we've seen everywhere, and it's up to us to stop it. Amen.
So basically what your story is in Memphis, Tennessee, which if it's not the highest, it's one of the highest percentage of black populations of any of our major cities in the United States. You pull the police.
Well, this was a small sub-city.
Small sub-city of that area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of that in there. Okay. In that, but you pull the police out. Look what happens.
Mm-hmm. And this isn't just a matter of 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. They're saying, bring them back in. We don't like this.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all to me.
It really doesn't.
Well, we must value one another, and there's right and there's wrong, and it's wrong for what happened to that man, but it's what about the people it was not right We have, 700 and something police that's been hurt, a couple of them murdered in the nation, and not counting all the businesses and all the people that's been affected because of what's been destroyed. Who's going to pay for that? What about those people? This is absolutely nonsense, and it's wrong, and it's going to have to stop. That's it.
I couldn't agree with you more, Doris, on that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know if you saw the video clip of that with Cornel West and Leo Terrell on Sean Hannity's show.
I did. That's what caused me to the phone.
Yes, I mean, I think there was no more, and that's why I use it. I think there's no more shining example of seeing what's behind that. And we only got a couple minutes left here, but this is what my point to wrap it up of. When all these companies or organizations or political leaders like Gavin Newsom's put hashtag Black Lives Matters or we're endorsing this, as I said, they're not endorsing you. You are endorsing them. And you are endorsing the Cornel Wests of the world. You are endorsing their platform as I was reading it from what they have said. When you put that on there, you are endorsing that because this is what that symbol stands for.
Absolutely.
So it's not that people, like you said,
is it really? Because I didn't know that.
Because they're not telling you that. Where have you heard this except on IE Newswire Daily on this show? Of that. People are not explaining it to you in that way. And that's what I learned. I mean, like I said, I learned this from Ronald Reagan in '80 when he was running in the log cabin Republicans, which is the gay issue of it, endorsed him, and the Christian right had a fit about it. And he said, they're not endorsing, I'm not endorsing them, they're endorsing me. So meaning that I don't support them, but they're supporting my policies. I don't believe in a lot of the things they do, but they believe in the things of the economic stuff. So I'm not going to not take their support,
right.
But I'm not endorsing, that's what I'm saying. When you put hashtag Black Lives Matter, you are endorsing the looting that's going on.
Can we put the link in the comments section too, and that way people can see? We did pull that from
Absolutely.
Wikipedia.
Yes.
And that's where all that information came from. And maybe spread that, because honestly, I didn't know that. I thought it was more of just like we're taking a stand together to make people not feel like they're alone during all that time. I didn't know that.
It's the
represented.
It's the illusion
Hi, Sean.
you can build.
Hey guys. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Sean.
It's the illusion you can build on this. We got about 30 seconds left. I'll let you wrap it up.
All right. Well,
Doris.
just right is right and wrong is wrong, and let's just look at it that way, and we'll have a better outcome.
Exactly.
And thank you, and God bless everybody.
You got it. Thank you for calling in,
Thanks,
Doris.
Doris.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
As we said, when we put it on, it should be hashtag we are all in this together. Because if we don't get to that point, if we're gonna play conquered and divide, if we're gonna play my side against yours,
exactly, that's where it's like just to put one color just in the hashtag or a title, like that is never a good way to see any change ever.
And then on top of that, the change they are advocating
30 seconds
will be the destruction of our society as we know it. I mean, you cannot have a society, with basically no law and order, no protection.
Joseph writes in, it's a distraction.
Yes. Exactly. It is. It's meant to get you up.
All right, guys, here we go. 10 seconds.
AMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today. IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
That funky slide guitar that comes on every Monday through Friday on the Mighty Met 1490 on a Wicked Wednesday on that. And We did some, and boy, was there some wicked. If you don't go back, you should go back and watch on IE Newswire on YouTube, especially watch the fun little segments we do before we go YouTube live. A couple on YouTube. I
still don't know what I said
from
wrong.
Facebook of that. It's pretty funny, but. We were emphasizing some of the stuff on, Black Lives Matter. What do they stand for? And the video on the Sean Hannity show of Leo Terrell and Cornel West on that really, 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 I think cements that. So when you see hashtag Black Lives Matter or you see politicians endorsing that, you will see what they are endorsing and where the mentality or what they are really trying to do, I believe, on that by their actions, not by what they say or what they try to give you the illusion of that. Which I was really, I was impressed with that you were seeing that. You're saying, well, I've never seen this before. I didn't realize that was what was.
I thought it stood like it was in a way showing your support to let them know we're all in it together. Anyone that kind of felt like they needed that extra support, that extra, I don't know. I can't believe that that's what it means. And we are getting the link put in the comment section right now. So if you guys want to go to that, that is off of Wikipedia. It's not something that Roy is just making up.
Of that, yes, it is, and that this way it's called, and just that. And we're going to have Kelly Victory on here in a few minutes, and we'll talk about some of the COVID stuff, and maybe we'll intersperse some of this in
Joseph
too.
Writes in, I want to just read this really quick. He says, The original leader of Black Lives Matter said his movement was hijacked. So I think that maybe the original thought behind it was to show that support, and now that is kind of where they let it.
And that's
which would make
and that's what
logical.
That's what happens in these situations all across the board. That's why I say you should you don't take it in that, and it's the illusion that you can create. You can hijack anything.
Right.
You can you create this illusion. They want to create the illusion that we're all in this and we're doing this injustice. But when you break down what they're really all about, like your jaw drops on this stuff. So we're in transition. We got our very special guest online who we've had on many times before. She's a trauma surgeon, disaster preparedness expert, consultant to many major corporations on a whole lot of things. But more importantly, I think she's right like 110% of the time. Dr. Kelly Victory, welcome to IE Newswire Daily with Steph and Roy.
Hey, great to be back with you guys as always. Thanks, Roy.
Yeah,
hi, Dr. Kelly.
Of that,
hey.
and work on that. It's I watched and I haven't followed the LA County stuff too much going on here, but I did, and I watched it today, and that was something. But I want to go to one thing. It was and I don't know her. You probably know her. She's a doctor from the WHO, World Health Organization, Maria Van Kerkhove. She came out, and I'm just going to play this little short clip of that, but, she was talking the other day about COVID-19 and asymptomatic, and she basically said this. We're going to play this short clip right here, so let's go.
From countries who are doing very detailed contact tracing. They're following asymptomatic cases, they're following contacts, and they're not finding secondary transmission onward. It's very rare. And that much of that is not published in the literature.
Stop right there. Basically, from what I'm gathering from this, is most people that have COVID, it's very rare that they're even spreading it.
Yes, let me make sure that we explain this just in layman's terms. So indulge me for a second here, Roy.
Go ahead.
What this means is that because we know that COVID-19, in the vast majority of people, it's a very mild disease. It's a very mild illness. Most people, upwards of 85% of people who end up getting COVID-19, don't even know they have it. They have no symptoms at all. They are asymptomatic. They have no symptoms. So if I put a, swab up your nose and tested you, you might come back showing that you have the virus, but you don't know it and you have no symptoms whatsoever, or at most maybe a sniffle or a little sore throat, whatever. But you essentially are asymptomatic. We were led to believe, and what the powers that be would like you to believe, is that those people have it in their noses and they are spreading it all over the place, and that's why everybody, even if they're not sick, needs to wear a mask and stay away from people and wear gloves and not go to church or to the barber shop. What they are saying now is what those of us who are thoughtful about this and know the science has said from the beginning. Those people aren't actually infecting other people. Asymptomatic carriers, people who have COVID-19 but aren't sick with it, have such a low amount of virus in their noses and mouths that even if they cough or sneeze on you or breathe next to you or sing next to you or march next to you in some protest, they're not spreading the dang virus to you. So this is absolutely the piece of information that we've been saying from the beginning means does not make any sense for people who are healthy, people who don't have symptoms, people who aren't sick, to be walking around wearing masks or staying socially distanced.
It's incredible what's going on this whole thing, because when you break it all down and you do this, and you've been saying it a lot, and a few others have been saying it a lot of this stuff. The vast 99% of us, not only United States, probably world population, really has nothing to worry about this whole thing. I'm trying to run it down, but I mean, there's a study that I heard of, and I'm trying to run it down, where there's some experts who come out and said, well, the secondary effect of this whole COVID thing in the United States, it looks like there's probably going to be as many or more deaths caused by the lack of people going to medical care, suicides, whatever's been going on, as there are going to be died of COVID-19 on this thing. So let's just say it's even. Let's just say the secondary effect caused as many deaths as what they did to do COVID on that. So what is the justification for locking down our country from or California at least, day 84? We've been 12 weeks on this stuff, and really there's very little end in sight.
Roy, I have to tell you, the idea that the deaths would be even equal is really such an underestimation. I meet biweekly with a huge group of physicians, a couple hundred physicians from around the globe, about COVID-19 and the fallout. The number of people who have been harmed and will die as a result of our response to this pandemic so far outnumbers the people who actually died from the virus itself as to be just tragic. People who have delayed critical medical care, people who are afraid to go to the hospital when they have chest pain or the symptoms of a stroke, people who aren't getting the normal follow-up that they get for their diabetes, people who have missed routine cancer screenings, whether that's a colonoscopy or a mammogram or whatever follow-up they were supposed to get. Those numbers are astronomical, so much so that the Journal of Emergency Medicine has actually coined the term COVID lateral damage. This is COVID lateral damage, meaning people who have died as a result, rather than collateral damage, COVID lateral damage, people who are dying and being harmed as a result of this lockdown and the fact that they can't access the routine and necessary medical care that they would normally get. And those people far outnumber the number of people. Yes, I hate that 100,000 Americans ended up getting sick and dying from COVID-19. But outside of the tri-state area, it was primarily a nursing home issue. These weren't young, healthy people, not to say that any loss of life isn't tragic, but these aren't young people. There was no reason to shut down schools. These aren't otherwise healthy people. There was no reason to shut down businesses. And what's happened instead is that those people have been harmed because they've been kept out of the hospitals, out of their doctors' offices, out of gyms, out of going to church, out of school. And so the collateral damage, the COVID lateral damage, has been enormous.
I've got a chart up there, and this came out from the LA County press conference today, which had Supervisor Hilda Solis, which was a former HUD secretary under Obama. Now she's supervisor in LA. Somewhat social worker, Barbara Ferrer, which has the title of doctor by her, and actually a real doctor, Christina Galli, which her husband is, I call him the mortician guy that stands by Gavin Newsom up there all the time. But the chart is deaths in LA County, and the top line, as you can see, our listeners can see on that, the top line is the rolling average, a 7-day rolling average of deaths in LA County, which started, they're charting them from back in the April of that. And the bottom line, you're seeing a nursing home. The curve has went up, looks like it peaks in about 45 days, and now we're 70 days, and we're almost back to where we were in April on deaths on the whole thing. This solidifies what the Israeli professor who studied this has said. COVID-19 has the same 70-day cycle, starts out of nothing, peaks about 45 days, ends in about 70 days. And whether it was the nursing homes, where this thing was really a problem, or in the general population, where there was hardly any deaths per percentage, it ran the same course. I mean, this is data we can go back and look at now on this. How can they continue to deny? Because they're talking about, well, our R-factor studies or models are showing we might have a increase in stuff. They said their positivity rate is going down while their testing is going up. I can't make heads or tails of any logic behind what they're telling us now.
What I can tell you, Roy, is what you're pointing out is exactly right with regard to the curve. And if you lay the curve of COVID-19 over the curve of every other pandemic, every other viral outbreak, whether it's seasonal influenza or the previous outbreaks of SARS, the Hong Kong flu, the Spanish flu, any pandemic, they all follow the same curve, independent of any ridiculousness you want to apply to it of social distancing or mask wearing or closing businesses and, whatever it is. Pandemics all follow the same curve. They all peak at about 40 days. They all begin to drop off because the people who are most vulnerable become ill and die early on, and then it begins to taper off. Unfortunately, we actually aren't as smart as we like to think we are. Mother Nature controls this, okay? Any social experiment you want to do with wearing masks and anything else actually doesn't really control Mother Nature. The curve of a pandemic always follows that trajectory. It had nothing to do, the curve flattened because the curve of a pandemic always flattens. If you don't do anything at all, that's how it works. And the idea that they are trying to make people believe, and it is stunning how many people truly believe it, that this has, finally tapered off because of all of the draconian measures that were taken. You say, no, actually, had you done nothing at all, look at Sweden. Sweden's overall mortality rate for COVID-19 is the exact same as the United States. The difference, they didn't suffer unbelievable economic, social, and psychological devastation by implementing the sorts of measures that happened here in the United States and elsewhere, because this is the trajectory of all pandemics. This was an awful response. It should never happen again. And unfortunately, I have had a really difficult time convincing an awful lot of people who are just wedded. They want desperately to believe that those people, whether it's Dr. Fauci or the CDC or whoever is guiding them, has told them the truth. And these are people who will happily stay at home for another 6 months, wear a mask, avoid the grocery store, go one way down the shopping aisle till the end of time.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, I mean, that's what you can see what they're setting us up on.
No.
And we did this, and At the top of the hour on the first, we went through Black Lives Matter and what their platform and all this stuff was of the context, and you start defunding the police, funding and defunding education and all that, and pay us for reparations and all this sort of stuff. You can see the same. I mean, I'm seeing the parallels to what's going on now with the George Floyd and all this Black Lives Matter situation, COVID, are so strikingly parallel to me on this. They're running the same disinformation campaign. It's not about Black Lives Matter and all that is not about unifying people. It's about gaining power. And it looks like what the whole COVID-19 is. We just keep changing the rhetoric. So, yeah, you will have to have masks on all the time. You will be, we're going to redistribute all the wealth. Everybody's going to get the same thing. We're all going to put it in a big pile and split it all up, and everything's going to be hunky-dory.
Well, if I were to take off my white lab coat, Roy, and wax more philosophical about this, you are precisely right. If people know their history and read things like Saul Alinsky and really understand what the socialist agenda is, it is to make people so desperate, so unhappy, so absolutely despondent about the condition of things that they are willing to accept anything if you just make it stop. That's what the riots are about. That's what this pandemic really is about, is to make people so desperate, so unhappy that they finally just say, just please make it stop. I'll take anything. Just make it stop. And that's what you are seeing is happening, is that people are saying, fine, I'll wear a mask. I won't go to school. I'll stay home. I'll socially distance if you just can make this stop. And we're seeing the same thing with those riots. Unfortunately, it's not based in truth. As you point out, Black Lives Matter has nothing to do with helping or assisting or elevating black communities. It's about divisiveness, fomenting more racism and hate, and in making people really buy into the idea that we need a new world order or we won't get this to stop.
It's crazy.
It is. I want to know where I can move to, where I don't need to deal with all of this.
Costa Rica?
I'm there.
Yeah. Well, here's a great story. Like I was engaged by a mega church in Texas, so a huge evangelical church in Texas, to make a video about COVID-19 because they are desperate to get their people back to church and back to school and back to reality, to the old normal. So they asked me if I would make a video about it, and which I just completed, and I was engaged with a well-known videographer in Southern California to make the video. And in the 11th hour, I got a text from the videographer who was young, in his late 20s, and he said something to the effect of, "I've read the script, Dr. Victory, and I don't feel comfortable personally or professionally participating in this," because he couldn't tolerate the idea that I was going to say, it's time to get back to business. Go back to work, go back to church, go back to school, take off your mask. He wouldn't make the video. He literally, backed out in the 11th and a half hour, and I ended up, having to find a different videographer who was fantastic and did the thing. But it's remarkable to me how divisive this is, that somebody wasn't even willing to make a video in which I was saying, we need to get back.
Here we go, and I'm going to play the short
crazy.
I'm going to play the short little clip of Dr. Christina Galli at the L.A. County Press Conference. So she's the head medical doctor of that, because Farrar is not. But she made that kind of dovetails into what you're saying. So here we go. We're going to play the short clip of Dr. Christina Galli.
While we ask that people stay at home as much as possible, there are good reasons why sometimes people need to or want to leave their home. Some people don't have the privilege of being able to telework, and they have to leave their home to work. Many people wish to lend their voice in the fight for justice that is going on around all.
So it appears, a lot of people cannot teleconference or whatever to work. Some jobs you have to be there at the place, kind of like being a doctor. If you're going to perform surgery on somebody, you're not going to be able to perform surgery by teleconference. But it's okay to protest? I mean, what the hell?
Exactly, and that's where the absolute inequity of all of it, Roy, the hypocrisy that no one batted an eye when 500,000, 2,000, 5,000 people protested shoulder to shoulder, not wearing masks all over each other. That's okay. We had, 4 different services at my last count for George Floyd, where they limited the number in the church to 500 people. So 500 people can get together in a church for a funeral service for George Floyd, but people haven't been allowed to go to their own congregations with the people they sit side by side with every day to go to church. Okay? You can go to a marijuana store or a liquor store, but you can't go to a hair salon. I mean, it is absolutely so, hypocritical that the average person should be sitting back and saying, wow, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit the sniff test. And that's all I've asked people to do is say, look around, talk to people outside of New York City. Do you know anyone personally? Do you know, and I ask this to people all the time, do you know anyone personally who has been hospitalized with COVID-19, not had a swab test for it, but hospitalized? And I haven't met anyone yet who knows anybody. And then I say, great, do you know anyone who knows anyone? Do you know anyone who knows anyone who knows anyone? Because it simply isn't the scourge that we've been led to believe, which is not to say that a certain percentage of people haven't gotten sick with it. But the good news is we know who those people are. We know those risk groups. It's not like we are still saying, oh, shoot, we have no idea who might really get smacked upside the head with this virus. We know who it is. We know the risk groups, and we can easily protect those people, and we have an obligation to do so. But the rest of us need to get back to work, back to school, back to church, back to business.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better, Kelly.
Yes. I mean, I don't know what...
Especially back to school. My kids need to go back to school.
Exactly. I would say, hey, how long have the children been home with us? Is it 3,000 days? Because it feels like 3,000.
I lost count at like 489.
Yeah, I know. I said to somebody the other day, is anyone keeping track of which plague we're on? Because I lost track after pestilence.
On that note, we're getting to the end of the segment. So thanks for being on,
Thanks,
Dr. Kelly.
We always love having you on. You're so great.
Yes, we'll do it again
I
next.
like you so much better than Roy.
Yeah, well,
always happy.
That goes without saying. We'll do it again next week.
Bye, Kelly.
Sounds great. Be well.
Again, like you say, where's the the whole thing they're going on about this? Again, nothing to me. Maybe I'm.
But then they're saying that they might open up the world on Friday, so it's like, what the hell are we? I don't even know what's going on anymore.
They're talking.
Why? Disneyland said they might be opening in July.
You know how they're opening up?
Don't take this away from me, Roy.
One person per ride.
Really? So your 3-hour wait now became 20-hour wait.
Yes.
I was happy before I came in. Oh, dang it.
Yeah.
Now I'm breaking stuff.
Now I know why our programming goes haywire. But no, it's I mean, that's what they're talking. 25 people in a movie theater. That's what they're talking.
That's nice.
No nail salons yet. What, and on and on. It's all these restrictions, da-da-da-da-da. But you can go out and protest all you want. You can block freeways.
I'm sorry, why can't we just go and live our lives like normal and just say, shit? I mean, if you want to stay home, stay home. If you're worried about the virus, be worried about the virus. But I want to go out and get a job, and I want my kids to go back to school. Like, please. That's what,
and again, they're killing. It goes back to that. They're talking. Black Lives Matter is talking about opportunity. They're killing. The policies they're advocating is what's killing opportunity.
Exactly.
of all across the board. Now, how does this work? Again, it's like we're sitting in this bizarro world. Like you say, we're hamsters in a cage, and we cannot get off the little wheel that's inside the cage. No matter what we do, we still just keep on the little wheel going around and around, and we never go anywhere.
And I'm so tired.
And that's what we are at on the whole enchilada of this thing.
Stop saying enchilada. You keep saying it, and it's been like a year. I still don't have. Could someone make me enchiladas?
Yeah, because you can't hardly go out and buy any of that. And,
I was so excited because I felt like the world was kind of starting to come back and open up, and life was getting
talk about
normal.
restaurants. You got to walk in with a mask on, but then you got to take it. You can take it off while you're eating.
It makes no sense.
No, it's stupid.
I'm so confused.
The whole thing is just completely.
You know what? Friday, I want to open up
irrational.
our phone lines. I'm so excited without talking about it first. I want to open up our phone lines Friday at the end of the show and let you call in and congratulate your 2020 grads because the end of school year is coming up and we got to celebrate them, right?
Yeah,
He's okay with it.
I saw
got the approval from the boss.
I saw them driving in their graduation.
I love that. We got to talk about that.
And we're going.
We're gone.